How did it go away? And I'm chatting. I'm hello everyone.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody? We've got. Can everybody hear me okay, first of all? I just stop the music. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah? Good.
Yeah.
Welcome to Talkaoke Skills Lab 3. Obviously, people, if you can turn your cameras on, I know that bandwidth is an issue, but just to say hello, even. Hello. Hello. So here we are, Talkaoke Skills Lab 3. Welcome, everybody. We've got a little bit of a reduced theme here today. We've got no Margot due to but we're going to still carry on here. I'm getting some background noise there from somebody.
I think that's Colin. Do you mind muting?
There we go. Hello, Colin. Cool. All right, so let's just kick off with this session. We only seem to have one person. Welcome, Teddy. You're our UK representative. Hopefully we'll get some more people in soon. But you're representing the whole of the UK right now, apart from me, Kane, and Laura in the studio. Anyway, we should crack on with this. Colin, can you hear me okay? Hello.
Yeah.
So let's just get straight on with this. I know we set you a task to discuss other formats. How has that gone? Have people had that discussion? Did that work? Was it a fruitful discussion?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, well, we had a very fruitful discussion. It lasted for way over an hour. We went through a series, we did way more than just, we maybe did about 5 different shows.
Right.
So, we found it quite hard to narrow it down, but maybe we could talk about, Linda's here, which is great. Because I was talking to Linda. We were talking about maths, Married at First Sight, and the ethics of that program.
What was the name of the program again? Because you just cut out.
Married at First Sight.
Married at First Sight.
So arranged marriages.
Yeah.
Where contestants go on there, and I don't think the success rate is particularly good. I think that the contestants may do quite well with their Instagram feeds.
Right, okay.
I think they become like minor celebrities. I don't know if I can use that word, celebrities. So
Why
it's
not?
questionable whether the marriage is really, it's questionable what the marriage is, who it's suiting.
Yeah.
Linda, do you want to say anything? Because you were part of this discussion.
Hello. Yeah.
Linda.
Yes. So yes, we did have a discussion on Wednesday night. Yes, Godwin. And yeah, like we did talk about marriage at first sight.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
So we did talk about So we did talk about marriage at first sight. Because I have watched like Marriage at First Sight, but American version, and my feeling when I watched it was like, okay, Godwin did mention that that of course it's all staged, but I came from it from a perspective of course, so these people like set out applications. Okay, apply to go into the program like looking for love, but do they really apply just to look for love or for marriage, or is it in the end just to be popular and be famous? In the end, we're like, it's just all about being famous and growing your social media platforms, and because they really do get money being very, very famous. Yeah, using the platform. But also like we realize like what is the end goal for it really? Yeah.
And is it worth just saying what Married in First Sight is?
Well, I mean, have you seen it, Kane? Have you seen the?
I have not, but it does
No,
sound. It
yeah.
sounds a little bit like Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, in that I think every single restaurant that's been saved in that has now closed since.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
Well, we
we're
did.
thinking
So
about.
we had
You go on.
who?
Well, you go on. You're online now. So
Yeah. Godwin, you can go ahead.
Okay, well, Linda, what I was going to say was that we did have Gordon Ramsay as one of our other programs to watch.
Yeah.
The one where he saved restaurants, and I was like, Linda, you were a big advocate of Gordon Ramsay, and I was perhaps a little bit more dubious about why he was on television and how he even got his break on television, which is for a program called Boiling Point, which is a fly on the wall documentary where he was a bully and an aggressor. But he knew exactly what he was doing. And maybe you can say more about what you were attracted to with Gordon Ramsay.
Initially, not knowing really the background of Gordon Ramsay, just knowing like he's a celebrity chef, but watching Kitchen Nightmares, I realized that, of course, he was a bit. It came off like he was helping their businesses, like restaurants, but in some of them, it's like he helped them, and the others he was like very rude and even chasing them out of their own businesses, which I found to be very weird. But the other gentleman has said that actually that most of the restaurants that appeared all closed. I didn't know that. I thought like some had actually been helped and that they're still open. Yeah.
I mean, there's also this question, and maybe it's just me and my sensibilities about, this question about the personalities that kind of shape these programs. Someone like Gordon Ramsay, is that something about, you're saying, Teddy, that he was a little bit of a bully or aggressive or forceful character. Is that something you think that's kind of somehow essential? Is that incidental?
In the very first episode of Gordon Ramsay, of The Boiling Point, the interviewer says to him, "So you're a celebrity chef?" At which point he goes, "No, one in not. These are the celebrity chefs," and names some other people who might have done Ready, Steady, Cook. But he's savvy. He knows what he's doing. I think actually, say go back to Married at First Sight, where there are a host. The host is the panel of experts. Gordon Ramsay is said to be an expert on something. So when Linda, you say, "Oh, he goes in and he helps them," he's helping himself. He's got a big contract here, and it's interesting on Married at First Sight. The contestants don't get paid a lot of money, hardly any actually. They know though that once they're on television, they could potentially earn money. The people that earn money are the experts on these shows. The hosts, they earn big bucks. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, was anyone else in your group that's here today?
Yeah.
Who else was there? Isaac. What's your view on all of this?
So, hi everyone. Sorry, I'm late. My network is a little bit unstable, but I kind of liked Marriage at First Sight, though I had like different questions, like what were the criterias for someone joining, and then also the people that are participating in this show. Is it coming from a point of like being desperate, or and then also the other thing that I thought about after watching Marriage at First Sight was do some people like acting it, and it's not real, from if you look at, someone might join the show with the idea of I'm going to find love, and then when they reach a certain level where they start getting maybe deals for advertisement, and then the desire to like stay on the show for a longer time because of the advantages it comes with, rather than the actual purpose.
And what is the actual purpose?
I think it the purpose could maybe come from the word itself, marriage at first sight, So I think that would be the purpose, to find love. But then after some time, you start getting deals, you start getting endorsements, you have maybe companies coming for you for advertising, and then you will start faking it, because when you look at some of the characters in the show, you can really tell this is not natural. This is not coming from a point of finding love.
I think.
Kane, you got a point that you wanted to drop in?
Yeah, I was just going to drop. I think it sort of links quite nicely with what Tim was saying on the chat. That I think it's the idea of whether actually it is all a big performance. Because Tim mentions that Gordon's a bully, but he does it on purpose. Which, Tim, do you want to add anything in there? I'm also imagining. I've never seen Married in First Sight. I'm guessing that's people that have. That are blind and their sight's restored to them, and then they're immediately married off. Is that right? Have I got it misunderstood?
Yes. Yes.
Well, you might say that
they can see, right?
They can see. Okay.
Yeah. They can see.
But they've never met the person they're marrying. I'm
okay.
assuming.
I mean, I think what you're trying to say, Kane, is you need a bit more of a explanation of the format.
I feel like, I don't know the format, and now I understand that there's now a panel of experts who are doing something in the process and get paid more, but I'm assuming that there is marriage involved as well.
The opening episode is where they get married, and then for the next.
Okay, so it's not every single week. There's not more people getting married.
Yeah, if a couple don't make it, then they can quickly get another marriage and have some, so they don't run too many marriages down. And then basically they film them over 3 months, and they're set a number of tasks. But the relationship is on speed. It's like they try and go through the gears pretty quickly. But to go back on the Gordon Ramsay thing, like, does he do it on purpose? Well, to get where he was, to a 3 Michelin star, and it showed him in action. He was a bully. He was also a failed footballer. And in the football realm, as a footballer, that sort of bully culture is very, very, it's ingrained in him. And then they found someone who is like this and very charismatic and gone, you'll be great for television. He is great for television. He is a bully. He does do it on purpose, but it's also, there's a backstory there with him as well. Not a great one.
I mean, what I'm wanting to pick up is maybe some of the commonalities here, like what does good for television actually mean, for example? There's that, there's there's this question about I guess what the desires of TV is compared to the desire, to our desires. And then why is there such a disconnect between those things when it comes to marriage at first sight? So I just want to find some of the commonalities here, but maybe we should talk. Okay, so we talked a little bit about your group, Teddy. It was you and Linda. Was there anyone else involved in that?
Isaac,
yeah, of course, yes. Was it you three? Was there anyone else?
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
three.
And so you talked about Marriage at First Sight and Gordon Ramsay's kitchen nightmares. Were there any other nightmares that you talked about? What are the
And
other
then
shows?
I had suggested Black Mirror. So
Okay.
there are two Black Mirrors. There's Black Mirror the series and Black Mirror there's a movie. But and we basically spoke about the series, which is kind of like a sci-fi that is based in the future. Yeah, so we briefly spoke about that as well.
What did you say about it?
It was basically, we were basically looking at because when you look at Black Mirror, how it is set is kind of like showing us the negative sides of technology, but set in the future. Yeah. So
and what is the main what are the main kind of observations about the negative outcomes of technology?
Basically, some of the things that were showcased in Black Mirror, we see them now, you know, and we basically spoke about things like the depressing side of technology. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to be more specific, though. Give me an example. And when we come on to the next part of this session today, and anyone who's doing the hosting in the middle, this is one of the key skills that you need to do, because Isaac is talking in the more general sense. We want to know a real example so we can understand more what he's talking about. So give an example of a negative outcome of technology.
Okay, so there's one particular series, a part that Linda and Godwin watched. If they can remind me briefly about, because I watched the entire series, but the specific one that we spoke about. So there is one that is very interesting to me was you would like rewind back what your partner had seen, maybe, you know, whatever your partner had seen in that day, you could rewind it back and then you'll be able to see it. And we talked about how technology could ruin relationships.
Yeah, okay, so we're back to the relationships thing, and maybe that would be a good tool for Married at First Sight as well, to be able to rewind partner. Anyway, I think we're getting a picture here. So I don't want to just focus on this one group though. So does anyone else that was in a different group want to talk about their discussions, about formats that they discussed? Totem, what group, did you have a discussion? Oops, you're muted there, Totem.
Totem, can you hear us? Oh, I think you're still on mute.
Yeah, yeah. Totem, come in, Totem. I might go to anybody else that had this. Irene.
May I? Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
So I was in Totem's group with Timna and Gonzo. So we had a hard time actually zeroing in on one. So different, like all of us had different channels or things that we had watched, but I think two that were kind of similar was there was a channel from Timna. It's a show called Naked Attraction. So what happens is there's literally people that are naked and they keep on exposing like a different part of their body. So there's like, say, 4 people on a panel, and then a person will keep on looking like at the feet, and then we'll choose one depending on I think what they see. So it keeps on going up and up. I see the picture. And yeah, so they keep on choosing what they prefer, but that is without like a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
So they will eliminate whoever they do not find attractive. Yeah. And then there's another one from the Jubilee channel on YouTube. It's similar, but this one is different. Could be according to the tattoos that they have or their clothes that they're wearing. And because I have seen the clothes one, and they start right from the shoes. And if the guy, if it's probably a guy, and this girl's one is wearing stilettos, sneakers, pumps, and all that, so the person will look at that and go with that.
Right.
And yeah, so, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, I think 2 days back, and he was saying, if a person gets a tattoo, it says like it speaks about boldness and all. But then I said, what if it actually does not speak about boldness, but they are literally just trying to express a little bit of what is on the inside of them, and maybe the way that all the clothes that we put on do not necessarily proclaim the man. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, I'd like to know a bit more about what you think, Irene. What's your view on it?
I think I'm in the middle because say I don't like, I prefer colored braids anytime. Yeah. But then if you meet me, I'm actually an introvert and I like being, by myself in my shell. But then a person might assume, if they see me from afar, that I'm outgoing, because today I have brown hair, tomorrow I have orange hair, and then I have purple hair, and they might think I'm that kind of person, but it's actually not true. And yeah, I might get a tattoo because not because I'm bold, it's just because maybe in pain, or it's maybe a message to myself or a reminder. That's what I think. It does not necessarily proclaim the man, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I guess one of the things I'm interested in, and we're going to come on to this later, is, because I think with all of these shows, there's something that we really like about them, but something we also dislike. And I'm trying to just unpick those two things. Does it have to be that way?
So, I mean,
is it? Yeah, go on, Kane.
I mean, I think one thing to say is Naked Attraction's on quite late night on Channel 4. And weirdly,
in the
UK, and my parents, what I found amazing was that even my parents had seen it. It sort of really surprised me, because it is just, you see a lot of naked people. But yeah, I find that really fascinating, that idea of like who would do it, like who would agree to, because it must be quite awkward if you go into work the next day and all your friends have seen you naked.
Would anyone here do it? Is that a hand up for you, Lucy? Would you do naked?
I'm not saying I would do it. I would absolutely not do it. But I have like just a comment on the Naked Attraction thing. Is that wow, it moved me around the screen when I put my hand down. I follow Anne, whatever her name is, and I was really pro her as a presenter. She was very pioneering, progressive, like on the right side of things. And then when she ended up being on this program that was about objectifying people on their bodies, I was like, this is really confusing. This is a complete change in tact. What's she doing? I've kind of lose kind of respect for her. But I think ultimately what it's doing, and what I found from watching the program, is that everyone's bodies are very real, and they're not like one person might be a bit enhanced somewhere, but everyone, I don't know, I thought it was really awful, but actually I now, coming away from it, I felt a bit more comfortable about things that I felt a bit insecure about in my body, and being like, actually, because we don't see loads of other people's bodies, and we don't get to realize, and the only naked bodies we see are photoshopped, or well, in the UK anyway. I know in our discussions we've had conversations about bodies, and we talked about the Big Brother, and someone had sex on Big Brother, and that was huge. But here we see a lot of naked bodies, but they're all very perfect. It makes you feel quite self-conscious. So I ultimately kind of like Naked Attraction now, because it has given me a touch of realism and respect for.
I mean, there's this question about, I think that's coming up a lot, is about reality. And I think it also, what's the relationship between our media and the reality?
And actually there's something, because the other thing is, actually, you then watch the show and it is like, yes, it's lots of naked people, but as you say, like, firstly, the people on it gain, like the people like genuinely seem to gain something in terms of confidence, and there is like a value for, you know, it means something for them. Like we can't, of course, like I probably wouldn't go on it. I definitely wouldn't go on it.
No.
I mean, you kind of hope that you don't make it right through to the end, because then at least, because it's only right at the end that you see their face. But also there's that thing of it being like, actually, is it more, it's more authentic almost than real life.
Okay, it's more authentic than real life.
More authentic.
Okay,
I mean, I think it's a really
point.
good point. I don't see, you know, like I don't really have a sense of what we should probably all get naked here, because I just don't.
Well, we've got these volunteers in the back here that they've done that already.
That's actually me on the far right.
Is it? Why?
I just, you know.
Anyway, Ellen, you've got a point.
Yeah, it's true. I reckon it is probably quite liberating for the participants. And just following from what Lucy was saying, I think it kind of about body acceptance. I think it also kind of made me think about, you know, like on social media where there's that campaign to free the nipples, because on social media, men can like openly show their breasts, as you can see behind you. But then when women show their breasts, or then, you know, it gets censored. But now I've seen what a lot of women do. They put these stickers on top of their nipples so that it just looks like, so there's something quite sexual people find about a nipple on a woman. And I just think it's just interesting. Maybe the more naked bodies we see, the more open we will be about, you know, seeing naked women's breasts, etc. I don't know.
Laura wants to come into this, so we must be having a good chat if Laura's come. By the way, all these visuals behind are done by Laura, so we'll give her a round of applause for that.
Thank you.
What did you want to say, Laura?
I just wanted to add to what Ellen was saying about the Instagram post, how pictures with female nipples are taken down. So the way around it is not only put a sticker on the nipple, but also just like I've seen pictures where they would just Photoshop male nipple on the female nipple. And well,
I was gonna say that.
So then it wouldn't be taken down. I don't know if it wasn't taken down, but I've seen pictures doing that, showing how absurd this is.
We seem to be focusing on nipples here for some reason.
I've got a meeting with my manager now. I didn't realize I'd put a one-to-one in, and I'm in a new job, so it's an important one-to-one. So I have to go now. But I wanted to just pop in for
luck with that. Give us a final thought before you go.
Oh, it's been so quick. We had a really interesting discussion, which I'm sure Hassan can tell everyone about. And my final thought, or main thought, is that like participatory formats get really contrived and false. I don't like it when people turn each other in on themselves and get like an exaggerated version of themselves, and that's when I lose interest. And I don't think like
okay, so in a way, there's something which like pushes things towards exaggeration and actually away from. So it kind of an extreme position rather than
the producers. They find out what works and then they become a like a over the top version of themselves by like putting the strongest type of personality type of that type and the strongest of that type and putting them together because they realize that worked. And that's when I lose. It becomes too inauthentic and
And does that happen? I guess that happens over time as well. I guess as you. It feels like from the start of The Apprentice to the end of The Apprentice, it's got more and more extreme. That's
what I mean. Like every participatory format, I could like make a formula that series 2 to 4 are in their sweet spot where they've like really enjoying it, people loving it, and series 8 is the worst, or I don't know how long they are. Okay, those are my thoughts. Anywho,
well, thanks for that. Maybe you can join us back once you've had your one-to-one.
Yeah, they
we'll
go
still
on a while,
be going
we'll
for
see.
sure.
Just bring them in for the one-to-one.
Yeah, we can help with that.
Amazing, great. Ciao. Hopefully back soon. Bye. Bye.
Mikey, we have a comment from Timna on the chat around sort of really good point about exploitation. Timna, did you want to say anything, or is your
come in, Timna, if we can hear you?
I mean, I'm gonna I can feed in on Timna's behalf. That I mean, she's talking about exploitation and whether we think that. Oh, there you go. Hello, Timna.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Hey, sorry.
Go for it, Timna.
I actually didn't hear the last minute. So what was your question?
Oh, it's just what you said about exploitation. I mean, I get a feeling from what we're seeing on the chat that exploitation is a necessary, but somehow almost like a two-way process as well.
I mean, I think definitely that there
You're turning into a kind of remix of yourself there, Timna.
formats of the show. Oh, hi, hello. Can you hear me?
Maybe write it in the chat because you're coming in and out a little bit.
Okay.
Over your
I
mouth.
have a question.
Yeah, Linda.
Yes, is the show a UK show, and is it like on like UK TV stations? Like, is it where it's aired and people see it from?
Yeah, it's a Channel 4 show.
Which show is this?
Are we talking? I think
about the naked bodies.
I think the Naked Attraction. Naked Attraction. It's on. It's on sort of like. I think it's on quite late. It's like 11 o'clock, maybe midnight on Channel 4. I don't know whether there's a series. I think there is a new series at the moment because there's a sort of thing with it that actually it was very sort of like normative relation. You know, men and women, men finding women, and now they've sort of mixed that up a little bit more.
I was asking that because, of course, our media here is very conservative, and we have like that would cause a lot of controversy. Like, I'm just imagining if we had a show like that in Uganda, because we are very conservative, like with our bodies, the naked body is yours and maybe your husband, or you get what I'm saying? It's not something that is out there for everybody to see. It's seen more as shameful to show your body outside just like that for everybody to see. It would cause like a lot of, you know, ethics questions and integrity, code of ethics. We have a ministry of ethics that I would definitely put that under like the pornography bill or something. You're causing pornography, trying to excite people sexually, like all the comments that were mentioned in terms of body positivity, they wouldn't be seen like that here. It would be more in that negative aspect.
What's your feeling about it, Linda? Do you feel that that Uganda, if it was legal, if it was allowed, would it benefit from such a show? Would it actually have a positive impact?
My cultural background, I would have to think about the positive impact.
Okay, so maybe not.
Get back to.
Okay, we've got some hands up. We've got a round of applause as well from Coco. But Hassan, you've got your hand up. We haven't heard actually about your group and the discussion there, really. Have you got a story to tell from your side?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. So we were in the group with Lucy and Henry, and I don't know yet how to mention her name. It's like Evelina.
Evelina, yeah.
Yeah, and we like when we started the conversation, we actually all found out that we don't watch television anymore for very many years. Yeah, and
I mean, that's why we did say it doesn't have to be TV. It could be a podcast. It could be radio.
Yeah. Like we just started the conversation openly, and then we all found out that we don't watch television anymore. So like questions started rising up. Like, where do you get your information? Where like do you like get your inspiration and all that stuff? And yeah, so like we're mentioning some shows, like everyone sees, and then we took the conversation like broader, and we like talked about what we used to watch when we were still watching television. And somehow Lucy knew about Big Brother. So like why I'm going to talk about Big Brother Africa is that somehow like it somehow responds to Linda's comment, like what she said, because like I think it was in the 2000s, I don't know, from 5 to 9, there is a popular TV host here He's called Gaetano. He's a TV host right now.
Yeah.
But during those years, he participated in the Big Brother, and he had sex on camera.
Right.
Yeah, like yeah, because like it's a reality show, and like they were recording everything. So he had sex like on camera, and that thing made like that show so popular in Uganda. And also it collected him a lot of fame, like here, you know, because like it doesn't happen here. Like nudity is really seen as something different, you know, but he had like the courage to do that, you know. So yeah, like we're talking about we're talking about the like the effects of like the reality shows, because in this reality show you had to do things that would earn you points, so that at the end of the week you're not eliminated, you know, and he had to do that for like to stay on the show, you know. So it also brought about like things of like scripting shows, like telling people exactly what they want to know, and hiding like the truth, and you know, like all these things, like when you're going to present a show to a certain society or to a certain group of people, you have to make some research of what's not allowed or what to do to cross the line so that it gets more attention, you know, like all these things. And yeah, and like at the like as we were talking, we saw a question came out that what kind of show would we watch, and like we're all giving our comments on, yeah, so we were like, yeah, we would watch a realistic like a reality show, but with more like less scripted, like to just let people flow out with their ideas, and yeah, like just talk about or present some topics without like thinking about like this censorship you know, like hiding some things, and yeah,
I mean, there's something there about spontaneity. There's something about this having to be on the edge of, you know, almost pushing the envelope of what is acceptable, what's not acceptable. There's something there about that as well. So, I mean, I think we're starting to sort of, in a way, gather some sort of commonalities about these shows. What we like about them, what we don't like about them. In a way, it can be the same thing. I think with the, what's it called, Naked Attractions.
Yep.
It's almost, we like that sense of liberation, but we also don't like it. Dorothy, you've got something to say. I was coming to you, honestly, anyway. So what's your view on all of this?
I'll first go back to what Linda said about the social norms here in Uganda. It's different. And also, since we Africans, we are known to be respectful, most especially when it comes to our bodies. And also, if you do something, as she has said, that it makes you out of the society, people start seeing you as a nonsense person or as someone who is useless. For example, Gaetano, when you talked about Gaetano, yes, there are other youths who supported it and were like, yes, our man. And when you come to the elders here in Uganda, they were like, why did he have to do that? I mean, it went viral, and most of them felt like as if it wasn't really needed. And also about other nipples here in Uganda, it's very hard, most especially for the ladies, to find that your chest is out even. So even if you wear something like a shirt or anything, you just have to button everything so that you can have that self-respect.
Yeah.
So for the naked, for the nudes, for the nipples, we take it to be an offense, and you become out of the society. People start seeing you as someone who is crazy.
But
so that's why
can I just ask you, if you're watching media, say from UK or Britain or anywhere else in the world, is it considered acceptable for them but not acceptable for Ugandans? Is it like two rules in a way that it's okay to watch this?
not really. okay, there are people who watch them. It's acceptable for them because the law here in Uganda, it's within Uganda. There's the ethics move around. So it's you who has to, okay, it's like you are your own boss. You can watch whatever you want, but you cannot bring it to public and you show everyone what you are or how you look like, how you were born. So it's different, but you can watch other things outside Uganda.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Totem, I saw you had your hand up, and Isaac, you've got your hand up. But before we do that, I just want to do a little experiment, and I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask somebody to actually do my job and do the facilitation and just keep this conversation going. Remember, if you are asked to do it, that's the end of you giving your opinion, and it's the beginning of you asking questions for other people. But I'm going to choose the person based on the stability of the internet connection.
and can we have,
because
is that is it worth having some suspenseful music to sort of play you in on this?
So the person I'm going to choose for this is going to be Teddy. Are you willing to take up this role, Teddy, to be the host, to give it a go?
Sure, let's do it.
And
okay,
it's based purely on your internet connection and your ability to keep this going. I just will say that Totem had his hand up before, and you've got Isaac and Linda with their hands up as well. So if you just want to carry on this conversation and just ask the questions, I'm going to go make myself a coffee. And then we'll just keep this going, and hopefully we'll try somebody else in the middle after about 15 minutes as well. But over to you, Teddy.
Over to you, Teddy.
Fabulous. So Totem, you want to come in and say something? Go for it.
Okay.
Totem, I think your audio is a bit. We're not hearing you.
Totem, it's all yours. You can speak.
Are you guys hearing me?
Yeah, very well.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I just wanted to give my comment on the naked attraction and then the culture in Uganda, basically about how people perceive or consume whatever content they see. Because first of all, I'll start with content. They are content creators, and then someone who does a program like attraction, and then he thought of presenting it to the world. So it's about how you consume the content. But I know that he thought carefully before coming up with Naked Attraction as a reality TV show. He thought about it that, yes, people are going to question the thing about respecting people's body, and that is something that people question. Me, I feel like when you create content and then you want it on TV for consumption, you have to put in mind other things, and I'm sure the producer of the Naked Attraction, they know all those things that, yes, people will question about naked or nudity, anything. So I think, like, for me, it comes down to what you consume and how you consume it, because you have the right to decide not to consume it, if you feel you want to consume it, you can be part of the show, you can watch or you can comment. But when it comes to the idea of disrespecting people's body, because there are events like tattoo events, whereby someone can bring her body to be tattooed on. It doesn't mean that the tattoo artist doesn't respect the body of the person on. So maybe there's a way that is a way that person shows respect to a human body, be it a female or a male. So that is what I think about me from my own perspective. Respecting. Yes?
Who do you think is disrespecting them? We've spoken a lot about, like, giving respect. Who isn't giving respect? Where's the disrespect coming from?
Sorry?
Where is the disrespect of this body coming from?
Sorry? The
So
network
who's?
is not okay.
Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're breaking.
I mean, I'll just repeat that. Teddy said, where is the disrespect coming from? Can you hear that? No?
No,
Because of that evil laugh.
It's not. Are you getting me? Are you getting me?
Now we are.
Yeah. So I wasn't like talking where the disrespecting idea comes from, but like I believe someone who produced like Naked Attraction knows that yes, people are going to question about exposing other people's bodies. You know, a lot of different countries, a lot of societies have different perception to how they see a human body. But now me, I'm bringing it from this perspective that yes, it also comes back to consume the things. Decide to consume it, don't decide to consume it. But like the consumer should also know that the person who started the program has a reason as to why she started that program. Let's say I gave an example of someone, let's say a body tattoo festival. So we have body tattooing artists and then people come so that their body can be painted on. So for a body tattooing artist, that is the way he or she respects the body of the person is going to paint on. So I don't see, like, not saying that there's disrespect of the body or whatever. We have different ways we appreciate the human body. That is my own idea.
Thank you. Isaac, you were going to say something, and then Linda, you were going to say something.
Yes.
Did you want to comment on what Totem's just said?
Yeah, basically, I wanted to comment on briefly what Dorothy said, Linda and Totem, because when you look at like the Gaetano show, that had a bit of like sex scene in it, but let's look at an incident like what happened in Uganda. I don't know for the people in the UK, but for the people in Uganda, they would know this. There is a very huge activist here in Uganda called Stella Nyanzi, and she's one of the few activists that the president has responded to. So she undressed herself. She was like a very huge person in a very huge institution here, Makerere University. She was a very huge lecturer, you know, from a very respectable family, because here nudity is kind of like connected to your background, where you came from. You know, you might be coming from a very bad background, then it's easy for you to do something like that. And what I wanted to stress is, does someone being naked have a message that it can send, a strong message? Is it a form of communication? Is it a form of sending a message to, you know, to the community? And then also something to do with culture that Dorothy was mentioning about. In Uganda here, we have cultures where it is okay for you to walk naked, you know. And how do those people view someone that is naked? Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you. There's so many hands up, and I know that Mikey, you just come back, and there's the hand that went down that was up from Linda. Linda, do you want to come in, and then maybe Mikey, do you want to work out how you're going to deal with all these other hands?
Right, that's your job. That's your job now, Teddy.
Okay. Well, Linda, do you want to just come in?
Yes, I think I just wanted to go from the comment that Timna made, that she suggested the show because it made her uncomfortable to watch. And personally, I have just been thinking, I don't know if it's away from that, but even with our own selves, let's even first put aside looking at other people's naked bodies. What about our own bodies? What about our own bodies? I'll be honest, like sometimes, like I don't know, I won't speak like people, but I'll say there is a fear in our own bodies. Straight to the shower quickly, put on your clothes. Like even standing in the mirror, one time I was just standing in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? Why are you looking at yourself naked? And then I was like, but I had to ask myself, what is wrong with actually looking at myself naked? What is wrong? Is it a way of, it has been instilled in us to always be in clothes? Like if you're in your own house, in your own room, do you always find yourself just covering up out of fear? That is it just a mindset thing? Like you should always be in clothes? I think even before, most times, like we keep telling people, oh, respect the body, oh, respect us, but even our own selves, do we love our own bodies? Are we willing to actually stand naked in the mirror by yourself and appreciate your own body? Because I know with Uganda, we come from a culture of, it also has religion to it, and you mustn't be seen naked and everything. And also there is a fear just even to be naked by yourself. There are lovers that will do whatever they're doing with lights off because there is a fear of seeing the naked body. And yet in the end, like everything just shouldn't be sexual all the time. And I feel in Uganda, when it comes to the naked body, the first thing people think is sex. And yet it's a body, with different features, with functions. Can it be seen as bad? Yeah, for me, that actually made me to think deeper in that way. And like and why is it a problem to look at other people's bodies? Because it is a problem to look at your own body. Because if it was no problem looking at your own body and appreciating your own body, yeah, that's what I'm just thinking. Yeah.
Come on, Steady, jump in.
You muted me. Sorry,
I
someone
didn't
muted me.
mute you.
Okay, I beg your pardon. Dorothy, go on. You're going to speak, and then we're going to bring it around. There's another 4 hands.
Okay, I wanted to add to what Linda said. Yeah, it's true. You can look at your body in the mirror yourself and you appreciate yourself. But also we have different personalities here in Uganda and all around the world. We have the personalities where I do not care whether you show your body, you do it yourself. Or that there is even this one who will find you like you post your picture when you're naked and like, what happened to this person? Was he in his right senses? Oh, so you'll find different comments coming from different people, and they all think this. They all think differently. So I may say, okay, you do what you want. I don't care whether you post it, whether you just come out from your house when you're naked. It's your own choice. It's your body, so you can do whatever you want. But here in Uganda, if you do that, I'm really, even if you are the president or you are the minister, everyone will see you like a nobody person because of that small thing. And it comes because of our thinking and our the way we take reaction according to what we see, and also to what we always look at. And also what she said about that every time people look at naked pictures, they see, they only think about sex, they only think about, yes, she's right. Here in Uganda, most of the people think when you show your body, it's about sex, it's about pornography, it's about just that, sex. So it's in us that we grow up knowing that you should love your body. You should, if you love your body, you can do anything with your body, but how are you presenting your body outside? Do you want your body like to be a picture on Instagram, a known picture, or you want your body to be something that you're proud of? Okay, I'm proud of my body. Or you say, okay, this is a picture, it's going to be out and everyone is going to like it, very many comments. Okay, let me just post it. You just post it there like that. But then it's about the mentality. Our mentality matters. So
yeah,
nothing matters like that.
Elam, you had your hand up. Did you want to come in? Or was it just to the camera?
Oh yeah, no, I definitely wanted to share. Yeah, it is quite liberating. I thought it was really interesting what Linda was saying about feeling shame walking around your house by yourself naked, because I find it quite liberating when I'm at home walking around naked when there's no one here. And I have been kind of shamed for doing that, but and again, that's doing other people's ideas and stuff like that, or even just being in nature. There's a lot of and walking around naked. I feel like that's liberating. We were born naked, and why should we cover up? I definitely think it comes from that religious background of feeling shame for being naked. I know in the UK, like back in, I forgot when, but a couple of 100 years ago, even a table leg was seen as sexual, and table legs had to be covered up. This is in the UK, and I just think we need to just chuck those things out. And also, it made me think of like, how even a woman breastfeeding, and having a woman having a breast out feeding a baby can cause such drama. And it's just like, how dare you tell a woman that she can't feed her baby because she's showing breasts? It's ridiculous. We need
Okay,
to
so so this is touching a nerve then, as far as you're concerned, at least in the UK. Oh, sorry, that's me doing the hosting. Sorry, that's sorry. Paddy, you should be doing this.
Mikey, well,
yeah.
That's. I want to see what these table leg covers look like. I'm not familiar with table leg covers.
Let me find a link.
Laura's doing a bit of research.
Put one
as well.
in the chat. There's in my screen. It's like the top row all want to speak at once. I think it's like Wabwire and then Mikey and then Kane. Can we go in that order? Are you all happy with that? Let's go with that.
All right. Thank you very much, Teddy. I think I'm responding to Isaac, who talks about the body being used as a form of protest, and she mentions a professor, one of the most respectable professors in Uganda, being Stella Nyanzi. Right now, she's actually in exile because, she was jailed and all that, and there's that sort of like, and I think when we are talking about the body, aside from the morality, the aspect of the body being a form of protest, in a country where the body, just the expression of the body is illegal, as you've heard from most of the respondents in this conversation. And then you have this professor using the body as a form of protest just to get her message to be heard. I think that's very innovative. Not very innovative, is maybe that is simple, but maybe that is like, for me, thinking about that in the broader sense is sort of like, using the body as a form of protest, where this professor says, what, this is what I think needs to change. The body is nothing, compared to the issues that we are talking about, compared to the oppression that we get from this government that is existing. And then there's this whole focus around the body. And then that's just a medium. It's just her body, she's just expressing herself. You can't hear. And so she resorts to go naked, in protest. But then the fact that actually our leaders would easily respond because she exposed her body is something that is very intriguing, and it's also something we could have a talk about. Why, in this case, would the body become so essential that actually it gets people to actually think, to act upon something,
Yeah.
That's also something we should have a conversation about. Thank you.
The Naked Attraction late night show is causing quite a conversation. Mikey.
Yeah, I just, there's a couple of points. First of all, well done on doing the hosting, because I want to just try somebody else, and I want to do it on the stability of the internet connection. I'm going to choose Irene, if you're up for the challenge of being the host. Are you up for the challenge? You got it based on your internet connectivity. You've been online the whole time. But if you want to take over, but just while I'm on the mic, so to speak, I just want to take this to the next phase, because what I wanted to do is take all of these discussions. We have, as you said, Teddy, focused on mostly on naked attraction, but I think because it's raising issues and it's kind of, giving us two sides of the same picture. One is about exploitation, it's about objectification, sexualization, but the other side is kind of liberation, acceptance, understanding. And I think that's really interesting how this discussion does that. And we've got these very, very different perspectives on the same thing. But what I want to do is actually just move more towards our ideas and our creativity. And if we were going to make a show, it doesn't have to be a TV show, it could be on anything, you know, what would we do? How would we negotiate these questions of objectification versus liberation, for example? How would we actually move this conversation onwards? How would we, you know, as Wawiri said, take this question of protest and being listened to and somehow sidestep that question of objectification and exploitation? So that's my question, really, that goes out there. But Irene, you're in charge, so you decide who speaks next.
I'll go against ladies first and go with Kane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for bucking the kind of traditional norm. Yeah, I mean, I thought, so I've sort of thrown up here that basically, I think it's almost 20 years ago, there was a show on Channel 5 in the UK called Naked Jungle, which was hosted by British comedian called Keith Chegwin, which was sort of just basically people doing, it wasn't a very convincing jungle, but everyone was naked in it. It was just, it was like a kind of, a bit like, you know, one of those game shows of people doing various tasks. They were all naked. And I think, like, part of me is like, actually, maybe the solution is quite simple. Maybe we sort of get into a trend where, like, for every series, there's one episode in which everyone is naked. You know, that could be anything from Big Brother. There's just, you know, Naked Week. To, like, you know, hit shows like The Sopranos, or, you know, what would it be, like Game of Thrones? I mean, everyone's naked in Game of Thrones already, but, like, you know, I would watch Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmare, where everyone's naked. I think it's that thing of, like, actually, there is something positive about naked attraction, showing you different bodies because you don't see them. So yeah, that's my solution.
So you think that we could have a naked week? Oh, sorry, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not being the host, but you think? I think we could have a naked week on TV.
Well, no, I think every single series, one episode, everyone has to be naked, no matter what it is. Wow. Same with with the news weekly.
Thank you, Ken. Elam, you had something to say?
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking as well, because I remember growing up, there was a show called Eurotrash, and from what I remember, there was some nakedness in that as well. But it was like comedy, it was silly. So maybe just kind of like having like a comedic element could be a really good way to like kind of talk about nakedness. But then also I listened to a podcast which every episode is about a different part of the human body. And there's some parts of the human body that I didn't even know anything about. So I feel like maybe actually like celebrating different parts of our body could be a really great way to kind of like empower people and kind of sort of allow people to kind of take ownership of different parts of our bodies, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I see Totem smiling so hard, but what would be, I guess, the line between liberation, and I know, Mikey, you like mentioned it, but if we were to like have a session that is like nakedness, what would be the line between liberation, honestly, and exploitation? You know, like, how do we make sure there is a sense of liberation, but also we're not exploiting you? You know what I mean? Yeah. Yes, Dorothy, I see your hand is up.
I think I was going to talk something off topic. I was going to talk about our discussion with my colleagues. We went further and we decided to check on YouTube because we were not TV fans, or we could not watch shows here in Uganda. kind of not so much involving. And we decided to bring out 2 shows, one from Gary Vee, a motivation speaker. We brought out what he was telling different youths in different schools, also the campaigns he was doing, and we merged it together and we formed our own show. So we decided to get one of the lawyers, the former lawyer of Russia, that also he was presenting. He had also a show, so we decided to bring his show into Gary Vee's show. So it's because of one of our colleagues that was feeling guilty because she was a Russian and had this feeling of people, like Ukraine people are being treated bad, and I really feel bad that I cannot do anything. I'm guilty. I'm a Russian myself, and I feel like I'm the worst person on earth. So she was really like complaining inside of her, and she had that mind guilt, that mind war, that she was responsible of what is happening. And when we looked at Gary Vee, Gary Vee was telling us that we should do the accountability. We should not start creating mind games or like blame games. We shouldn't blame that it's his fault, it's my fault, it's so and so who did this. So we decided to bring it together, and we said, okay, Ukrainian have this, that suffering, okay, that there is also what is happening in Russia, what they're doing. So we made her feel like, when I told her about Gary Vee, she just watched one clip and she really felt good. She came back and she told me that, you know what, I'm now feeling okay. I'm not feeling guilty anymore. I now have an idea of how I'm going to be accountable to what is happening right now. Of course, I'm a Russian, but at least let me try to do something for others. So what Margarita did was she told me she's writing, she's helping like Ukrainian people to bring them in UK also and write for them paperwork. So she has been doing it, like she started doing it, but though she was doing it, she had that same feeling that she was really a very bad person because of where she comes from, because of the blood flowing in her. But also she said that she wants to do more than what others think. She wants to help, and she doesn't want to think like, okay, I'm a Russian, I should stand with Russia. No, she said, no, I shouldn't stand like that. I should stand and support the nature. I should just create that dignity. I should create accountability in me. I should stop the blame game that it's our president's fault, this one is fault. So I should take the position and try to come in and help the others, and also social and make them socialize with us. Yes, okay, they hear my name, they'll say, oh, she's Russian or she's Ukrainian. What can I do about it? No, I shouldn't feel bad about it because of what is happening in the background. I should be proud that I'm doing this to help others, that at least I've come out to help others instead of sitting in the back and saying, okay, go on, like you should, Ukrainians should die. Okay, I should just be like others, how they're treating them. So that's what made us to bring up that conversation and look into Gary Vee's talk shows, where he was talking a lot about blaming, where he was talking about moving from the comfort zone, doing something to motivate others instead of demotivating them. Also motivating yourself to be happy, because she wasn't happy, but when she went into it, she felt happy, and she was like, okay, I'm now encouraged to do more and more things. And we decided.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I'm just jumping in there because actually this is the role. Should be the role of Irene. It's a good point, but I feel like you've made that same point 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
And it's up to the host, once that point is made, is to get excited about this idea, which is a very strong idea of the Russians and Ukrainians getting together. I especially like the idea of a kind of Ugandan moderation between the Russians and the Ukrainians, and how to actually take it to another country that's away from it, and how does it look from here, I think is very interesting. But the point is, Irene, you need to come in and get excited about this, because that is what, you know, Dorothy's come up with an idea, but we need some response here. That's why I'm doing some things on the button, you know, just to give a bit more response. But, you know, that's your job now as the host in the middle. I'm just saying that, but okay, but let's also focus on, this is another thing. So we've talked about naked attraction. This is a more political thing. In a way, it's the same thing. We're extracting what we think is good from these formats and putting them into a new format. And I think that's what I want for the last 15 minutes. I want you to think about that.
Thank you, Dorothy. What I actually was noting when you were talking was being a part of the solution, and really going back to all the things that we went to watch and discussions we were a part of, you know, what was the problem that they're solving. There's an interesting thing they usually do, that they usually say that you need to find a problem, you know, and fix it. So in the shows or in the conversations that we were part of, what were the problems and how were they solving, you know, that problem, and how can we translate that into our everyday life? We have talked about, you know, naked attraction and exploitation and body image and all that, but what about the different shows? I know we kind of dwelt on naked attraction, but what were the problems and how can we bring those solutions into our everyday lives? Yes, Ken, I see your head nodding.
No, I think it's I think it's a really, maybe that's also sort of the way that new shows should be pitched, is that every sort of new show has to solve a problem in the world. Maybe it's as simple like that. Just it feels, because actually there is a thing, I think it's like Danish television, there's a very quite a sort of that kind of Scandi noir, if anyone's seen it, is often comes from a place of actually, you know, it's trying to bring about change, or it's trying to sort of raise awareness of something.
Linda, Colin, were you guys, what was the problem and what was solved? What was the solution from that problem? And how can we, you know, translate it into community now where we're at? I see a hand up. I don't know whose it is.
It's me.
Oh, cool.
No, I was going to say, maybe we should just go around and ask, this might be a good one. One of the things when we get a point like this, as the host in the middle, it's a very simple question that we can put to everybody on this call. And that is like, what problem would you address in your show? Because I think that's a strong point from Kane about every show should have to solve a problem. So, okay, we can just ask every single person here on this, what problem would you like to solve in your show?
Lovely. Okay, so we can start with Totem. I see you smiling, and then we'll go to Teddy, then we'll go to Dorothy. So let's do those first three: Totem, Teddy, and Dorothy. Go. Hi, Timna. Okay.
Thank you so much again. Once, like for me, if I'm to let's host a show, one of the things or the thing that I'll address on is maybe identity. At some point, like we should make people or viewers know people have the right. Let's say I'll go back to the basics of a tattoo artist and the body being painted on. You know, for a tattoo artist, that is his identity. That is his art that he does. And then for the body that is being painted on, still the viewers have to understand that yes, if they are painting on her body or someone's body, still respect that body. So they have to know that it is the identity that they also have to understand.
Right.
So it's something that I will address.
Amazing. Totem, I have a question just to what you have answered. Do you think you have had, you know, problems with your identity? Like, do you feel it's something you identify with, and so you can help someone else better, you know, find identity with whatever they're going through? Is it something you've struggled with?
Yeah,
And yeah.
like being an artist, from the region where I come from, we struggle a lot with identity because there's a way the community or societies have a perception of us, the artists. Or let's say if you have dreads, or if let's say piercing on bodies or people reach to not accept it. So I've been struggling with identity. So for me, I feel that is something I would love to address to help someone really identity or his identity. Yeah.
Amazing. Who would want to be a guest on Totem Show for identity and give some nuggets of wisdom so we can line them up? Okay. Teddy, you next.
Yeah, I think the
What
thing
problem?
that came up of solving was that there was a real hierarchy with some of the programs that we did. So with Gordon Ramsay, obviously he's top of the tree, and then with the Married at First Sight, you got this panel, 3 of them, these experts. Well, dubious whether they're experts or not. I'd like to see how we could disrupt that, and maybe the contestants could graduate maybe up to the level of Gordon Ramsay, or maybe the contestants could become a relationship expert. Maybe they won in series 1 and they're there. You know, I think there's a number of ways that you could disrupt that, or it's not even just disruption, it's more about inclusion really, and sort of trying to make everybody, maybe a bit more cash can be spread out amongst the participants and the experts.
Right.
That'd be some of the things I'll be doing.
Hey, yeah, thank you. I'll go to Dorothy. What problem solved on your show?
Okay, when we went through the show, the whole topic that we discussed about, we realized that it's not about the war in Ukraine, it's about the war in the whole world. That we have youths, also other people have economical wars, they have mind wars, they have the wars that are affecting them, not the wars of the battle with the guns or anything, but the wars of their social lives. And we also concluded that media has a big role in today's society, and it's either we mend it or we break it. The way we present ourselves to media or other issues to media, we either break it. So we decided that it has to be handled with care, and also it has to be handled with really a good sense of knowledge.
I have a question, Dorothy, and anyone else that might want to share. The other day I was walking with a friend at City Square, those of you in Kampala know it, and I told my friend, can you imagine there's like war between 2 countries on the same earth, and like everything is normal here, but do you think that that war in Ukraine and Russia has somewhat affected, you know, wherever you are right now, and how do you think that has affected you?
Yeah, it has really affected me and also other people around. And according to what we are doing right now, safari tours, they are really down. And also most of the people think that because of the war right now, we don't want to walk, we don't want to go for safari tours, or we don't want to do anything. And as a humanitarian, that I had different children that I was leading in communities, you find that most of the visitors that want to come and see them, they fall behind and they say, you know what, let's wait for the war to end, let's wait for the things to end so that we can come to Uganda. So it's really affecting us so much.
I just want to say, I'm sorry to butt in, but it's an important point about hosting as well. Is I thought that was a very good question, but the preamble about I was walking through that, as the host, you don't need to give that information. But in the end, you came to the very good question: is how is the war affecting you? How has it changed you? That's all you really need to say. You don't need to say your story, because that's kind of implied in the question anyway. But it's a very, very good question. I just want to say, bang on to the question. But yeah, you don't need to have this backup. when you're the host in the middle, we just ask the question at the end.
Okay. Okay, so how, maybe two more people, how has the war like affected your life or where you are right now? If anyone cares to share, would anyone like to share?
I mean, hang on a sec, Irene, let's just park that question because we're still asking people, what problem would you want to solve? We're also sort of slowly running out of time as well, so.
Okay, I will, could you please let Ian, Wawire, and then Isaac share, and then we can go.
About what? So I wanted to answer the question you actually asked, but what other question is there?
About, so are you answering the first one or about the Ukrainian war, just to go with what Dorothy was asking? We can go with your problem. What are you solving?
What am I solving about what?
Yes, with your show, if you had a show, what problem would you be solving?
Okay, so I host the Creative Talks Africa sessions, and they are from where we bring together young African creatives to sort of like network, but also exchange ideas of how they can push their businesses forward, creative businesses forward. I think for us, the problem we're solving is the lack of the artist community to think about business as an aspect, as an aspect of their creative practice. So that is the problem we're solving. How do we ensure that most creative businesses or most creative artists think about business in their practice, but not only just their practice, but it's something that is embedded in their ethos, in their work, in everyday life. So that's the problem solving. But also, you mentioned about how is the war affecting me. I think that was also something I wanted to talk about briefly. I think we all know that when there's a war, there are winners and there are losers, you know. And as a person that, I'm not in Ukraine, but I can imagine how terrible that situation could be if it happened in my area, for instance. I think it's just incumbent of me to have what we call Ubuntu. For those of you who don't know what Ubuntu means, Ubuntu is a South African word meaning I am because you are, you know. So I think living in a global community where I can easily interact with Ken, I can easily interact with Mikey, I can easily interact with Timna and we all understand that we have so much in common. Actually, we have everything in common. There's just one thing that separates us, and that is maybe the languages, maybe our skin colors, but that does not make us any different from each other, you know. So I think what happens in Ukraine could happen in my town, you know. So I think I have to be very empathetic and also sort of like be one of those people, because any day I could imagine any day being a refugee, you know, and always trying to imagine yourself in that situation where any day, if that happened, how would the existence be for the next of your life? So being able to put yourself in the shoes of anyone that is in Ukraine should be something. It should be a responsibility of each one and every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Wiri. I see Lucy Brown is back. Welcome back. So we are sharing on, if we had a show, we talked about how all these shows that we were watching kind of were solving a problem. So if we had a show, what problem would it solve and what problem would it be? Yeah. So feel free to share anything else. Linda, do you have anything to share? I saw Timna said, I would diminuate inequalities and focus on opportunity inequalities. So, yeah.
I mean, Irene, we're kind of coming to the end. So that was a very good sum up. So I'm very, very pleased that you introduced Lucy in such a lovely way.
Lucy. How was your one-to-one?
We're going to have what we call a long tail, where we're going to have a final chit chat, where we're going to find out what happened in Lucy's one-to-one. We're going to find out all of these things. But I'm just conscious that we're coming to the end of this part of the session, and I think there's some very good questions out there. I'm very pleased with Teddy and Linda the hosting that you've done. But I want to sort of like really pick up on this question because we want to set you a task in the same groups that you were in before, but just moving this forward with these, with the way the discussion's gone about what problems would you want to solve with your own format? How would you create your own format that somehow could sidestep these questions of, you know, that we've talked about. We talked about hierarchy, we've talked about power, we've talked about money, we've talked about inequalities, we've talked about objectification, we talked about all of these things, liberation as well. With those discussions in mind, how would you solve the problem that you want to solve without getting into some of the pitfalls that TV gets into, that mass media gets into? That is the task for the next session. Has anyone got any questions about that before we go to final thoughts?
I have one question. Do we have to stick to the programs that we did, or because we had a few others up our sleeve?
No,
do we have to talk about the ones that we did?
No,
Okay.
on the contrary, I want you to come up with something new, something completely new. So you don't have to stick at all to what you've talked about so far. You know, maybe think about it, you know, in terms of some of the things that people have said. You know, Dorothy's mentioned the question of war and how war, and also this question of other kinds of wars as well, not just the country's war, but all kinds of conflict, where Weary's talked about creativity and business and how those things are not connected enough. Timna's talked about inequality of opportunity. Totem's talked about identity. These are all really huge subjects. So think about how you can incorporate these subjects that you're passionate about into a format. You know, it's not about necessarily, and we know that Kane is very passionate about cooking. So all of these chefs programs, you know, would still hit his sweet spot, but it's up to you. More think about what you're passionate about. What is this problem that you want to solve, and how could you turn that into some kind of format? And just play with it. We're not going to make you make this. Do you know what I mean? This is just the beginning point. We might do if it's really, really good, but no commitment here. Any other questions? No.
Mikey, I think Isaac had his hand up for some time. I don't know if he still has something or a question or whatever.
What's that?
No, it wasn't a question. It was something that I would solve if I was like to have a show.
Go on, Isaac. We've still got time.
It was basically how Africans are represented in like most of the movies, and to be specific, like female actors. And I kind of feel like Black Panther kind of like bridged the gap when it comes to like representing Africans, but I feel more represented as a man, but I kind of feel like women were kind of left out. And then if you look at like how the image that is given to like female actors, you know, masculine, and they can solve every issue by themselves, and then women are kind of represented in a very vulnerable way. So I think I would like want to change something like that. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's a good thing. I mean, Irene, you had your hand up as well. Or are you just agreeing or disagreeing? You're agreeing. Okay. Well, okay, I think it's what we're going to do. I know this is going to sound a bit weird, but let's go to the final thoughts. But I'm actually going to keep the line open for another half an hour or so, because I feel there's a lot of chit chat, and I just want to, you know, once the pressure's off, we've kind of done the work. We can just keep this going and just have a general conversation. But weirdly, we're going to get final thoughts first before we do that, just in case anyone needs to go. And I noticed there's a couple of people, Henry and Colin, we've not really brought you in so much. So maybe you want to, have you got anything you wanted to say? guys? Henry?
Yeah, thank you, Mikey. Maybe just one thing. I don't know if Lucy or someone from my group shared about how peculiar our conversation was and the kind of shows we discussed were. But one observation that we made was that all of us in that group were not TV junkies. In fact, it was quite hard to think of shows that we've watched, but we spoke extensively about other media formats, mainly podcasts. And we agree also that if we were to come up with some form of media, it would have to be a podcast because we felt it speaks a bit to who we are as creatives, and also because we identified some pitfalls in the mainstream media formats, largely things to do with exclusivity and patronage. And we also saw that there's a lot of scripting for most of these TV shows. It looks like the producers are out to sell a certain kind of idea. So without concern for the people who are viewing or something like that. So as creatives, we felt a bit constrained by most of the shows that we noticed, and we largely agreed that we would, if we were to come up with any media forms, it would be a podcast or something like that, that provides the platform for creatives to express themselves. And one key common factor that we noticed in our narrative was that this would be a platform for us to share experiences, to learn from each other. And it was quite interesting and quite uplifting. How do we embody the idea that every one of us has something to say and something worthwhile to say? Because we normally see it that there are certain groups that are a bit excluded from shows that are aired oftentimes. So I think that was quite interesting to see in our conversation come up. So I don't know if someone spoke about that prior to me joining, but I feel that this was quite interesting and all.
We did discuss it a little bit, I have to say, but I think it's good to get your take on it as well. My only question would be, what if there was one problem you would want to solve with your podcast, if it is a podcast, what would that problem be?
All right, so one of the things, anyway, this comes from my kind of work and my kind of idea, is that when you look at most of the new media that has come up, it's still exclusive in a way. If you look at, for example, social media platforms, most of them still, okay, I can speak for Uganda and for a bit of the rural communities, there is still a few people who have really taken up to using these platforms. So many times their views are still not captured. And I think, Mikey, you remember some time back, I should have been during the interview, I spoke passionately about the essence of translation and seeing that we allow people to express themselves in the language that they are best used to, but also make a way that the new media or platforms that we have are okay for people to use. One key thing that I found interesting in Uganda, for instance, now is that when you look at the different social media platforms, TikTok is quite big, and you'll find even people downtown using it and having quite huge following, because I think of the simplicity and the fact that, well, you don't have to go and type to show if you really know how to write, but it's a matter of you recording a video, be it in one of the local languages or something like that. So I think if I were to really come up with a platform or a podcast, I would really think of integrating features that perhaps TikTok is really personifying, to really ensure that larger groups of people are given the platform to express themselves. I still feel there is some bit of exclusivity in some of the platforms. Lastly, for example, in Uganda, everyone knows that Twitter is for the elite. You would hardly find the largest section of Ugandans, say in the rural communities, use Twitter. So yeah, some platforms of that kind really exclude certain groups and their views are often not taken into consideration.
Great stuff. I think we've got some ideas there. I'm just going to, before I go to you, Kane, I'm going to bring in Colin because I want to make sure everyone has said something. Colin, have you got a final thought for us? Colin. Come in, Colin. Can we get Colin?
Colin?
Yeah. Maybe if we can't hear it, we're going to just type it in the chat if you can, Colin, and then we're just going to go. I think we're going to just go to UK and we'll get some final thoughts from everyone. But I think we're sort of moving into the kind of chit-chat phase now, the general, and we'll find out how Lucy's one-to-one went. But let's just get a final thought from you, Kane.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was sort of almost making the same point again of just like, I don't, we ended up sort of talking about TV quite a lot, but I think there is something really interesting about like, could you do a whole thing which was just by text message or like, could be across like 7 or 8, like why, like,
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't happen.
Lots of, it could be multi-medium.
It could be happening on 6 things all at once, all at the same time.
Yep. Okay. Any other final thoughts before we move to the chit-chat phase? Lucy?
Sorry, I haven't been very present for quite a few of the did the background music stop? Is it still going? Yeah, no, or maybe when I'm talking. I thought it just immediately stopped as I started speaking. Sorry. I think in terms of my problem that I would solve, it would be around learning new information, and like maybe it's just the source of, because like just for me that's just what I like. I either would like humor to distract me rather, and I feel like everyone's been very, I want to solve a big issue, which is great, but for me, I don't know, personally in my own life, when I go to find a media format, I want to be taken away from all the stress and worry. And so whether it's just like learning new information, I never know, there's so much information sources, where do you get that from, and is it like a format that can allow you to explore information? And then the other one was just like how to detach in an informative way. I don't know.
Cool. Okay, well, let's get a final thought from Teddy, but that question about information, there's 2 things. There's facts and information, and there's also this escapism thing. We haven't really touched on that, although we sort of started off talking about that a little bit, about how weird and bizarre some of the worlds that we see are. And it's not necessarily about relating to it, but actually not relating to it. So there's that point as well. So that's a really good point. Lucy, let's go to you, Teddy, because you're leaving us, aren't you?
Sure. No, I am leaving you, but thank you. I liked it in the middle, and I really enjoyed the group that I was in, so I'm happy to continue that. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm good. It's a good session. Thank you.
Okay. Good luck getting across town. We're now fully into the chit chat phase of this, so people just talk. Let's take this where I feel like we've done a good session because Teddy's told us. So we're weary.
Yeah. So I think for me, the takeaway from this is that we all have a lot of things that we're very passionate about, and that comes from the presentations about everyone. We hold a lot of things very dear to ourselves, and these are conversations that we want to foster in our various communities. I like the role play where we had Teddy, we had Irene taking on the podium, and having to moderate, and learning from that actually moderation is not something easy, So I could imagine what Mikey goes through every day. He's in the middle of that table and having to move the conversation from one idea to another and keeping the conversations solidified within people's minds. I think that's a skill. And I like that this program or this project is actually harnessing that. The Talkaoke Skills Lab, as we envisioned it, as we're creating the whole project, we wanted to create a space where people were able to express themselves and be able to actually be confident in the ideas they have. And I think through today's session, that has been very much amplified. Very sad for those who did not make it for this one, but we'll share with them the video. Thank you.
I think a lot of people got caught out with the change of time, us included. So, yeah, but I think that is the next one also on a Thursday, or is we back to Saturday after this? We're back on another Thursday, yeah. So hopefully we'll make sure that everyone knows that we've changed the time, we've changed the date. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a very good session. There's a lot. I feel like we're slowly shifting from, you know, this is how we do it, to people taking control themselves, and you know, we want to just actually enable you to do it in your way, whatever that is. So hopefully there's going to be a slow shift to that as well. But so where do we go from here? Any other thoughts, comments, observations, suggestions, ideas? People hit me. We've had a link. I just seen a link from Colin about this comedian, this YouTube comedian. Is it a Ugandan comedian? I'm going to take a look at that. I don't know if what's the name of the comedian? Umpamira. Is people know this guy? It seems to be a funny guy by the looks of. It's a Ugandan comedian, says Colin. So we'll take a look at that in a bit, and that's good research for us to do. What else do we want to talk about? People, Irene, go on.
Not talk about. I think something that I appreciate is what you said, that when you take up the hosting, you don't have an opinion. And I remember from the previous class, I watched the recording, and you said, you know, turn whatever it is you're thinking into a question. Because then, like, you are prompting people to some more. Other thing is to catch those thoughts, you know, catch the thoughts, catch the words. And also like normally what I'll do is I like to kind of organize my things. So I write them down and note them down, but like, hey, come in now, you know. So it was, it's amazing. I love the learning. I love it. So yeah, I'm just excited.
Well, I thought, as I said, I thought you did a very good job in the middle there. Dorothy, you got your hand up.
I wanted to appreciate everyone, and most especially the Talkaoke Labs Q, that I've really learned a lot. And from today, I've learned some of my problems, and I've pointed them out. And also the sessions the tasks that you gave us, I also got to learn how to talk with others and how to appreciate their suggestions, and also appreciate everything that you've really done for us. And I'm really excited for more that is coming, and thanks a lot.
Yeah, I mean, also, I just wanted to say, I thought you made some really good points today, Dorothy, and I kind of slightly picked on you because I just wanted to show Irene, you know, that sort of sense of like what you're doing as a host, but you were making a very, very good point. And I think you brought in some really, really vital subjects considering what's happening in the world right now. And I think, to be honest, I think this is just the beginning of how we're going to do things in the future, where we're actually going to, not just, in a way, it won't just be, I don't think, UK, Uganda, but we will be bringing in like, oh, look, there's somebody here from Russia, there's somebody here from Ukraine, there's somebody here from South America, from China. And this is just going to be the norm, I hope anyway, the normal way that we're going to carry on and get involved in things.
But I was going to say, I mean, because sort of like one of the ideas I had, because like one of the big issues I think is what's been amazing with Ukraine is people have, like, globally, everyone's sort of focused attention is focused on Ukraine and what's going on there, and like there is so much empathy. But I do also, like, I almost feel like the issue with media at the moment is things just move so quickly. Yeah. And I wonder whether you almost need like a counterpoint to the news, which is like no longer news or something, where like, because won't there be a point where we'll stop caring, I guess?
I mean, as you say, the attention moves very quickly, and right now our attention globally,
like we have attention just generally
is on Ukraine. But what happens if something, you know, for example, and I think a few people mentioned it last week about the slap from Will Smith, And, you know, this suddenly, we've stopped thinking about Ukraine and we're thinking about one person slapping and that one famous person slapping
Yeah,
another.
I think that's the problem when we let the media run the narrative, Kane. I think it's about what you think or what you hold dear to yourself. If you think the Ukraine issue matters more than the slap by Will Smith, then that's something you push for as an activist, as an individual activist. So I think for us to let the media run the show and say, okay, the media is going to go to another conversation and they're going to distract us is problematic, because then we let the media run the show, you know. So I think that's very problematic. And I think it's also a bigger problem because the media is sort of like the thing that sort of like moderates the kind of conversations we have every day globally, you know. And
who is the media, Web Weary? Who is the media?
The media is the media is the is I don't know, but because we are all on social media right now, right? So most of the platforms we spend much of our time is being on Facebook, Twitter, and we go to those platforms because we want to know. When you wake up, you want to know what's happening in London, what's happening in South Africa, what's happening. So you trust the media to be able to inform you. So media is like information. Media is an update. I don't know how to define that, but it's really something you go to because you want to get informed about what's around you. You know, that's how define. Maybe someone can define it differently.
You see, I see you got your hand up, but before we go to you, I want to go to Laura because last time, because she didn't have a chance, you could actually raise your hand on the main Zoom.
I should have.
But you didn't get a chance to come in. So this is Laura who's been doing our backgrounds at the moment. Right now, it's just a coloured screen.
Yes.
It's empty, no video signal. But do you want to say, what did you want to say? Thank you for, by the way, let me give you some plaudits for that.
Thank you. I'm gonna be quick. It can be my final thought as well. With what we were saying, how the media just like, you know, showing so much war and people stopping responding to it as much. I'm kind of thinking about changing the perspective on that, not about the war, but like media just repeating a subject. And this is kind of what I wanted to say earlier is I think we do need more naked bodies in the media, and like all kinds of bodies, to make people just so used to it and so bored of it that no one will pay attention to how we look, you know.
So maybe I was off the. Maybe it has to be a year. Like maybe it's 12 months of it, and then that's it.
Well, can we make 2023 a naked year? That's Laura's proposal.
Stranger things have happened.
Okay, Lucy.
Oh, sorry, I didn't have my microphone still on. Yeah, that's a nice point. But my point was related to the fast journalism thing. But there is a whole area of slow journalism where you like take a long time purposefully to do things methodically. And then I had another one that was related, and it's completely gone. It was like the main thing.
While we're talking about this, can you give us an example of the slow journalism?
No.
No?
No, a documentary. But that was like leading into the main point that I had, and I've completely forgotten it.
Okay, well, this is a hosting tip. When somebody forgets a point, what you do is you just rewind and you just recount the last point. So where Weary was no, who was where were we last? Anyway, now I've forgotten.
It was about like we were like it's all so fast and like it wasn't the naked stuff. It was the like it's so fast and we don't.
So Lara was talking about a naked year, then where we was talking about you need to find out all the things that are happening in the world. When you wake up, you want to find out all the things that are happening in the world. then before that, we were talking about just kind of like
Oh,
appreciating.
I remembered. It was about it like always being in the news, and it was like to do with that like Will Smith slap thing, and like that dominated the news. But I also noticed that on BBC News, which I think some people might call our media, is there was the same story that was called like live most recent news, and it was on the Ukraine, but it was something that'd been up for like a day or two, which wasn't the most recent one possibly. But I think maybe there have been editorial decisions for their like the top news headlines to it would be disrespectful for it not to be on Ukraine. And so actually maybe that was the only thing that was like mildly came into view of the public as like a slight relaxation of intensity. So I don't know whether it's not a comment on like that we're so facile and we think that someone slapping someone is so interesting, but actually maybe it's, you know, I don't know, deeper than that, and it's an editorial decision. And
so there are actually people controlling, pushing the buttons. There are behind the scenes, there are people in control of this media. It's not just this kind of roller coaster of attention, but people actually directing towards particular things.
And it's more that it's like a strategy from someone who's like there's like political moves that it like wouldn't it would be disrespectful to do something, but then we also have a personal response into like what as a culture and as a people we can take in terms of information overload of a certain tone. I don't know, it's like you just think that you consume media and it's one way, or like there's always like someone controlling it, but actually maybe that was a reflection of the fact that it is a kind of moving,
it's a two-way street. Okay, there's lots of food for thought today. Any final thoughts before we just we get on and we try to think of a new format that solves all the world's problems in one go? There's quite a big. Did you write this, Laura? This big bit of chat. Yeah, you copy and pasted it. Okay, yeah.
Your source, Lara.
Yeah. Okay. So whether you're just a bye-bye on that one. Anyone got a final parting thought for us? I will say it's lovely to see you. If you celebrate Easter, happy Easter as well. Enjoy.
It's also Passover as well.
It's also Passover as well. There's what do you say? Is there a thing to say for Passover?
It's a
Chag Sameach.
Yak Shamash, yeah, that would do. Good Yom Tov, actually.
Yeah.
Actually. Not just yet, though.
Okay.
Okay. So there's happy Passover, happy holidays. Any other final thoughts?
I have actually one. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Hey guys. I was actually thinking about the media, which we still have, but which was way more popular, like let's say 10 years ago. I don't know, but when people wrote or when people write still like these short descriptions of themselves to find love. And I was just thinking about that when you also mentioned this like love at first sight. Yeah, just like kind of an old media which still exists, and like thinking about the advantages and disadvantages of like popping out the contact details and anyone could actually find them. Yeah, that's just maybe my last final thought.
Okay, so like a kind of Lonely Hearts column as we see it.
Yeah.
Should we revive the Lonely Hearts? Is it better than what we've got at the moment? Do you have Tinder in Uganda? That's another question. I don't know. People, maybe not. Ellen, have you got a final thought?
No final thought really. I popped it into the chat, but I just let everyone know that I've sent them their individual Talkaoke Skills Lab portraits. You probably saw them in the background. I know Timna and Joel, you said that you didn't receive them, so I thought I would just pop it in the chat. So you will see that there now. Let me know if you get it, or let me know if you want me to send it another way.
Okay, nice one. Thank you, Ellen. Any final thoughts? Is it time to go out into the wide world to take a little break? I've really enjoyed today's session, and it's been a good session. It's been an eye-opener. Thanks. We'll try to get some different people hosting it. If anyone else wants to have a go hosting the next session, just let me know. You can let me know anytime ahead of time. I guess that's it. I think it's time to play the theme music again. And we'll say goodbye. And we'll keep thinking, keep creating. And I think some really good points as well from Wawiri about how do we turn this creativity into something which is a business. And for my mind, I just want to add at the end, it's not just about making money, but also about being something that's productive, that connects people in society. Because, sometimes money, we do need money and we get money for doing what we do, but it's also about connecting people. It's about being something that's also useful and moves our culture along, moves our society along. So these are all, I think, really good things. But thanks to everyone so far. I think I'm just going to turn up the music now, and we'll see you next time, which is next Thursday, in 2 weeks' time, same time, but on a Thursday the 28th. We'll see you then.